On this bumpy beer review from Omnium Brewing out of Somersworth, New Hampshire, I have their OREOASIS, which is an imperial stout coming in at 10% ABV. I don't see a canned on date right off the bat. I didn't really look around to see if there was one. It's an imperial stout, so if it is aged, it should be all right. Before I get going on this, let me go ahead and let the dogs in, so I'll pause it so we don't have to wait. Alright, so I'm going to read the little story here that it says about this OREOASIS. This stout boasts a rich blend of roasted barley, coffee malt, and a variety of dark malts, creating layers of deep roasted flavor, balanced by a touch of Saaz hops. It's then generously infused with one of our favorite cookies, adding a sweet, nostalgic twist to every sip. Alright, so yes, the name, the can art, it's all appropriate. Let's go ahead and give this a pour. I think this is my first time having a stout by this brewing company, let alone an imperial one that's infused with Oreo cookies or hydroxy cuts or whatever they are. Hydroxy cut. I think that's a fat burner. Actually, I don't know. Hydroxys. Let's go ahead and crack this open. All right. So it does have a fairly tight knit, kind of mocha colored head to it. The color of the beer itself was it looked very thin as I was pouring it in, so as you see that pour and me fast forwarding, you may see my face, but yeah, it looked super thin. I'm not a big fan of super thin stouts most of the time. The color of this is just kind of like a light caramel. Just the depth of the glass, the amount of liquid between here and here, is the reason why it looks darker. Other than that, in the very bottom here, it's just like a slight caramel type coloration. Some aromas on this. Yeah. I don't know. I've smelled stouts that smell similar to this, and I didn't care for them. It's not a big robusty stout nose. It's got this kind of fruitiness to it, basically. You do get a little bit of the kind of coffee from the coffee malts, but it's not big and robust. I don't get anything that reminds me of Oreos. Let's go ahead and take our first sip, so cheers. Yeah, an extremely thin-bodied stout. High carbonation. It's pretty drying on the finish, but the flavors are not bad. This one may work for me. You get a touch of the of like a graininess. I do anyways. It kind of follows through all the way to the finish. I think those Saaz hops are really playing a big role in this too. Do get quite a bit of a kind of hoppy, herbal spiciness that lingers. The bitterness in this is moderate to moderately high, I would say. Maybe some of the darker malts are adding to that bitterness as well. Do get a lot of like deep roasted, almost to the point of like a burnt type flavor, but not quite reaching that. So it does have a little bit of like a kind of fruity tone to it right up front. And then you really do get a lot of that roasted malt presence. A little bit of black coffee type bitterness. Some kind of burnt type notes. I can't find Oreo cookie in this at all. Yeah, there's no like cream. There's no wafer, chocolate wafer type flavor. There's no sweetness really to this beer. Yeah, I guess there is a touch of sweetness, but not anywhere near eating an Oreo cookie. Yeah. But I think for the most part, like the flavor notes, and then this thin body, that's where I was saying I think this kind of works. This kind of works for me on this one, with a thinner body. I think a heavier, thicker stout may not have been as drinkable. 10% ABV. I'd say there is a little bit of a warming going on in the chest, but other than that, there's like no alcoholic flavor notes. It's well hidden there. I think that, yeah, I think if you were drinking this one, you'd probably think it's more like an 8%er versus 10%. I don't think if you did this blind that you would think that it was an Oreo cookie inspired stout. I think that you would think it was a stout though, even with a thin body. Probably pick that up too. Anyways, where would I land this one? I think that I'm kind of just like mid-range good on it. It's doable. I personally wouldn't purchase this one again. But yeah, I think there's some people out there that, you know, if they picked it up, I wouldn't say, oh, don't drink it. You know, just be like, try it, see what you think of it, type beer. But yeah, that's where it's gonna land, and that's the Omnium Brewing, sorry, OREOASIS Imperial Stout. I say cheers. Thank you all for watching.